don't have to do that because it's on the lower screen. So I've heard that that's
the 3DS version.
Sorry, 3DS. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard that that's actually the best version to play because of that.
Yeah, it also has Master Quest built in. Once you beat the game, you unlock Master Quest.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I remember the Master Quest. I got that as a bonus GameCube disc, I think.
Yeah, was it with Wind Waker?
I think it was. Yeah, like if you pre-ordered from... Okay, so at the bottom of this one is where the room is.
Really? So this is how you originally broke it? So what did you have to do?
So on the left side of that door...
Right.
There's a little mound on the floor, like in the corner of the room. I can't really see on the video, but if you pull out the taunter and stand on it, Ratchet will point the taunter straight up.
Really?
Yeah, because
there.
Yeah, and then when you use it and it's still broken, which it shouldn't be in the HD version.
Yeah.
The hoverboard race happens to be right above you, and the taunt. So the taunter will keep breaking the crates, and they'll keep respawning infinitely. So,
oh, fantastic! Wait, hello.
Did it work?
I got bolts. I got bolts for a second.
Oh, so maybe it's still in there.
Maybe it was just from up somewhere else. I don't know. Could have been from through inside the door, but.
But that's where it is, and so if anyone wants to try it and see it in a video, I don't know if anyone's found that bug before.
That's really cool.
But we, as far as I know, we fixed it, and then people found the much more complicated way of doing it.
Well, there was a really easy way of just using the, I can't remember what the device is, but it changed you into a robot. Just go into that and talk to the lady, and that's it.
Yeah, that was the, Infiltrator, was it called? No, the, I can't remember. Hologuise. The Hologuise.
Yes, Hologuise.
We used to break everything with that gadget, man. Between the Hologuise and the Visibomb, we found hundreds and hundreds of, like, anytime we got bored and needed to find a bug, we'd bust those things out and just try to break something.
Fair enough.
You know, because the Hologuise and the Visibomb both put you into what we call a special hero state. And that, whenever you go into a special hero state, there's always a frame or two where you could fuck something up just by hitting a bunch of random buttons or sitting on the controller or something. So, my buddy Super Greg and I don't know if do you know if I ever talked about him in the
don't know.
He was one of our producers at Sony, but on this game, he and I were both testers.
Right.
So he'd come in and we'd stay up for, 16-hour days and nights just playing this game together. So we got real close, and now I think he's the, if not the executive Ratchet producer, at least the line producer for it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I want to ask before we talk to that guy, whose idea was that section? Because for me, every decent game must have a secret behind a waterfall and a section where you have where something rising is chasing you. And I love that section, and in Pokotaro, I believe there was a secret behind a waterfall. So this game is perfect, basically.
You know,
I'm trying to say.
I've never said it before, but I agree with that. As long as there's a secret behind a waterfall, I'm always happy.
Yeah.
But all of the Hydro Displacer segments were done by Mark Cerny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the gadget and each segment, except for a few secrets in some of the levels, he designed those on paper, graph paper.
Oh, really?
And because that was the way before the PlayStation 2 era, we would do all of our designs on graph paper, and they actually measured the levels by how many physical pages of graph paper you used. So the artist would say, all right, this can't be more than 5 pages or it's going to be too big for us to do. But then once we got on this game, we were able to cheat and do things with scaling so they couldn't use pages anymore.
Right.
Oh, I love this guy talking. He talks about how he makes 5 bolts an hour, and I'm like, why don't you just walk 10 feet and pick up the bolts off the floor? What's wrong with you?
You mean you and your walking camera? You paparazzi make me sick. Now beat it.
But sir,
paparazzi.
He does look like a walking camera, though.
That's true.
A picture of the captain in his underpants. Then you sell a picture to the info tabloid.
Underpants. Oh, we actually get to see him in his underpants in the third game. I didn't realize that was foreshadowing.
That is true.
Yeah. in advance.
Oh, that's bolts. Oh, in this game, that's a lot.
Yeah. Oh man, we were brutal about taking bolts from you in this game. Probably the one that I thought was the worst was in Ratchet 2 though, when you talk to the crab. It's like 40,000 or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh man.
The world that makes me cry.
Oh, Captain Quark, you're so evil. He comes across as a psychopath, you know, because like we really wanted to make it a surprise when Captain Quark was the bad guy, but I think the way we ended up doing it made him seem a lot meaner than we really wanted him to, especially given how cool of a character he is, you know.
But in Ratchet 2, he's really like evil, really.
That was sort of a result of how he came across in this one, and I think when we redeemed him starting in Ratchet 3, he was a much better character, which is probably why in the PS3 games he's much more of a hero, or at least just an idiot, right? Not a psychopath.
Yeah, I mean, with Ratchet 2, I never saw it coming.
The proto-pet being Captain Quark?
Yeah, it never... I was just like, oh, it sounds similar, but like even then I was like, I know they use multiple voice actors throughout series, so it's just like, it's probably just the same voice actor. Oh, okay, that I didn't see coming.
Dude, those are actually the maps that they were just showing there, those blueprints. Those were actually Illustrator maps that we would use. That's cool. Yeah. So I'd never realized that. When I was making this game, I wasn't doing design yet. I was doing some junior design stuff like crate placement. Oh, God. Oh. Or minor segments, which we still haven't talked. Actually, that might be a good thing for us to talk about in one of these episodes. You know, I would place things that the designers didn't have time to place, and it helped me sort of learn the tools. But mostly I was just testing.
Right.
We would do shadow volumes. That was one of ours. Oh man, the animators hated us because we were responsible for optimizing the animations. And that meant basically making them not look as good. So they were constantly coming up going like, did you have to take that frame out of the animation? Oh wow. Boy. We're already done with one of the segments, huh?
Yeah. One thing I did want to mention, like, I don't know if you'll know why, but why, I guess it's because they couldn't, but why didn't they make, like, 2 alternate cutscenes? Because in both the hoverboard racing and the Quark cutscene, one of them is either inconsistent, it's like, can we go hoverboarding now? Or, I've never seen these people before. It's like, despite, like, why didn't they make 2 cutscenes? Was it impossible, or?
The way I remember it, I'm pretty sure that we as the testers pointed that out to them, but when the videos went in, it was really late, right? Like,
I see.
It was probably beta, or for some of the cutscenes, alpha. So by the time we were able to find those inconsistencies, it was just too late to record new VO and to have the animators make a new scene. And that happened a lot, especially back in these games before we had someone who was, you know, a full-time writer slash VO person. In this game, it meant that 2 of our animators would be gone, you know, directing VO. And so, you know, since they were the ones who would also have to animate the cutscenes, it was a huge problem if we had to redo it.
Right. Fair enough.
Oh! Oh, nice.
No, I'm alive, don't worry. I'm good. It's still good.
Ledge grab counts, ledge grab counts.
I'm fine.
Is this level the first appearance of the Sharkigator?
Yes.
Ladies,
yes, it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, first appearance of the Sharkigator.
It's beautiful. I would shoot it with my Visibomb glove, but I fear it would do nothing, and also I don't have it.
Oh, the Sharkigator, man. I got a letter from somebody saying that he was like their favorite thing in these old games, and he was sad that we never said what its name was or what its backstory was. And the truth was, we never had a name for it or a backstory for it officially, you know, because we didn't think anybody cared. We just thought, oh, he's that stupid fish we keep reusing in every game. So it was kind of something that pointed out to me how even the smallest, the decisions that we hate, you know, end up being something special to somebody that they remember for their whole life. It's really weird, you know?
Well, it's also in Jak and Daxter.
The Sharkigator is?
Yeah, it's in Sandover Beach. So, presumably, because did Mark Cerny work on both?
I think so. I think he worked on both.
That's presumably why.
Oh, so maybe
I know Naughty Dog and Insomniac have had a very close relationship since forever. So
yeah, we shared tech, not as much as everybody thought, but you know, the two companies, we'd have parties together, you know, and we had kind of a friendly, competitive relationship where each of us, we would want our games to do better, of course, but we were always nice to each other and we wanted to put references to each other. And a lot of us at the studios, we played each other's games, so it was really... It was close, but not as close as a lot of people make it out.
Right.
I think the only tech we shared was they had some really ingenious rendering code that I think made everything look just great. And we didn't have it in our first... Remember when I talked about the Metropolis diorama? We didn't have the technology then. We couldn't necessarily do the views we were trying to promise.
Right.
So getting that in was really helpful. And then what we gave them back was we took a lot of the features in our engine that they didn't have, like the occlusion system and a few other optimizations, and we gave it back to them so that they could use it in their games. So it was a lot more back and forth than the press knew about.
Right. The if I can't remember, I don't know how much of this is true, but if I remember correctly, talking about render systems, Naughty Dog, when they released Crash 2, they had like they found a way of exceeding the polygon count by like 4 times what the PS1 was originally capable of, or something. If I remember correctly. So I'm going to assume a greater model of that for the PS2, basically.
Yeah, it was that, and they had a really cool model of it was streaming data was another thing that they did really elegantly, so that we could have levels that we didn't need a load every 5 seconds. Like if you remember the early PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 days, there were loads all over the place.
Yeah.
And that was because rather than working on a cartridge, which everyone had been used to up until then, we were working on the disc. And because of physics, when the disc is spinning, everything on the inside of the disc you can access faster than everything on the outside. So there's a hard physics limit to how fast you can load stuff. So what they came up with was this idea that you could load in stuff in the future and unload stuff that's in your past, as long as you kept enough distance between them so that people wouldn't have to wait while you were inside a single level. And the way they masked it in Jak 1 and to a certain extent in Jak 2 was, you know those rooms where you're in and it's like an airlock and it closes for 10 seconds and then opens again? That's a load. Yeah. They're just masking it by letting you run around.
Jak 1 didn't have anything. Jak 1 is just like, well, I guess it's to get to Misty Island you have to go on the boat, but more or less it's just the entire world is just there. Like whatever you see you can go to, and it's amazing.
Yeah, that was one of their biggest technological achievements and one of the things we were able to benefit from. But one of the downsides of it was that their genius programmer, I forget, I think he might be named Andy Gavin. He's like a super genius on the level of Al, you know how we've always been talking about how crazy smart he is. Well, he programmed in a programming language that almost nobody else at Naughty Dog understood. And it was really ingenious because using that language meant that they could do things that they couldn't do if they were programming in C. But it also meant that anytime anyone else had to fix a bug, they might not know how to do it if they didn't know that language. The language was Lisp, which stands for, in my opinion, lots of irritating, silly parentheses. It's so hard to read. I'll put an example of it up on the screen, but it's just like it's parentheses all over the place, and you have no idea what's going on. So one of the services we did when we gave the code back to Naughty Dog was we converted all of that crazy Lisp code into C code so that their programmers and our programmers would much easier be able to use it.
Before I talk to the Rhino guy, correct me if I'm wrong, the tests, some or maybe all, the testers came up with all of the skill points, correct?
Yeah, we had a test plan. Actually, I should talk about that afterwards.
Because there's a skill point where once you have the O2 mask, you put it on here, and it's not automatically put on you, it's only on planets which is needed, so you have to manually put it on and turn that into a chicken. Whoever came up with that idea is a genius. I love that skill point.
You know, that might have been my idea, but it also might have been Brian Allgaier.
Right. Well, both of you are geniuses anyway. So
the testers came up with some of the skill points and some of the secret locations because we were, you know, playing it so much we knew how to break it.
Right.
And so either when we broke something, we would either decide, oh, that's a feature, and we'd keep it, or oh, that's a, you know, that's a bug. We got to get rid of that. And in the case of a lot of skill points and secrets, it would be, nah, that's a feature. We're going to keep that.
I will say I love this. Great idea. The drains.
Oh,
great idea for platforms.
I think that this this level, except for the hoverboard and the that sewer segment, was designed by Brian Allgaier. And he's now he's the creative director on all the Ratchet games, and he has been since before the title of creative director was invented. So Allgaier is the constant thread throughout all of these Ratchet and Clank games. He's worked on all of them.
I love him.
Even Nexus, you know, and he's working on the new one. So it's
cool.
It's really neat that there's this thread that runs through all of the Ratchet games.
Oh, that's a lot of money. That's that's an amount of money you cannot get in one playthrough.
No,
that
we make
is
sure
not possible.
Well,
yeah, that's thanks for that. that's there to taunt and destroy my soul.
By design, you know, we wanted to make sure that there were things that after you beat the game, you could still go back and play.
Well, the Rhino in this game is phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
it really is. It's one of my favorites.
I love it too.
9 rockets.
And they go everywhere. They just go everywhere. Like
they really do.
Later Rhinos, you have to aim them. This Rhino, you just fire, and it's like
fire, and everything dies.
And every missile is to whom it may concern. It's awesome.
my favorite is the Rhino 3, because it's literally a ball of plasma which turns everything to ash, and I like seeing things turn to ash. It's a very nice effect.
That was I think the programmer who did that was Keith Davis, and he was an effects genius. Like besides, I think maybe Eric Christensen, he did the best special effects in the whole game. And he was a programmer, like programmers did all of our special effects in these games. So often it meant, you know, that you had to be a programmer with a very strong artistic sense. And we didn't necessarily hire programmers for their art skills, you know? So it was really amazing the stuff that they were able to do in the later games. Like, you know, in this game, when you throw the bomb in the bomb glove, maybe, yeah, there we go. It's, the effect is 2 transparent spheres inside of each other. Oh. And we called that a shell. And it's something that was used a lot on PlayStation 1 because it's super efficient, right? The sphere only has about 12 faces, maybe 20 if you're really crazy. So you could draw a lot of those and make stuff that looked good. In later games, we would never use shells by themselves because it looked too last gen. We would always combine them with, you know, a bunch of other particles or you know, screen effects or things like that. So the effects in this game are basic, but they still look really good, I think.
Oh no, I think they look great. I love the Tesla coil. Yeah,
that was the same guy who does the camera, Roberto.
Oh, excellent.
He did that and the Morph-Array, you know, the little double helix effect. And I think a few of the other weapons, too. maybe between Peter Hastings and Roberto, they were most of the weapon effects, I think.
I see.
The test plan, we mentioned that earlier. I was going to talk about that.
Yeah.
When you're testing a game, often what you do is there's two types of testing. One we call ad hoc, which is, you just play the game and try to break it. And that's the most fun way to test, right? Because it has some creativity involved. You have to start thinking about ways that you could cause glitches based on what you know about how everything works.
Right.
But the much more boring and, unfortunately, much more effective way was the test plan, which meant it was like a 60-page document, which would say, all right, first you go into every level and run around on the collision of every single, thing, and make sure that there's no collision missing where you can fall through. Step 2, trigger all the cutscenes and make sure that the character's facing the right direction afterwards. 3, it was just these incredibly tedious, just small things, but without a plan, for making sure that they were there. Like, for example, make sure every cutscene triggers, you could end up with really, really problematic situations. So
yeah.
So the test plan is often the bane of some poor tester's existence, usually the least senior tester. Although Mary, my wife, she loved test plan testing, and she didn't like ad hoc testing because she's some sort of crazy mutant. So I don't know what the deal was.
Fair enough then. Oh, God, I love this view. Just so nice.
It is really good, isn't it? The there's a cheat in this game called Trippy Contrails.
What?
One of the cheats that you unlock by getting skill points is called Trippy Contrails, and nobody knew what that meant ever.
Yeah, what does that? I recognize the name, but I didn't know what it was. Yeah, what is that?
On this level, and any level that has flying cars that leave little trails behind them, you see, if you look at the flying cars that are going on in the distance.
Yeah, the white lines.
Yeah, Trippy Contrails just makes them 3 times longer. So what?
That's it.
That's it, right? So everybody was like, "What the hell does this even mean, Trippy Contrails?" So it was really funny, and it taught us a lot about secrets and communication.
Oh my god, I thought it was like some kind of derpy control system, like Ratchet Control's funny.
Nope.
And it was like a derpy way of saying controls, Trippy Contrails.
Nope, it was contrails. Yeah, the contrail meaning a trail that is left behind something. I think it's maybe
Absolutely
this level.
Brilliant.
Pokitaru, maybe one other level has it. I don't know.
I should probably mention now, this is where people traditionally glitch through the game. So if you have the decoy glove, decoy glove, because the hologuise was basically simply, if you have the hologuise, you talk to her, you enter the hoverboard races. Without the hoverboard, there's no race, you're just in there as the hologuise, you take it off, you move to the area where you use the thing. Here, what you have to do is, it's so specific. You have to face here, aim down, and basically fire free. And hopefully you clip into the pale wall, not the orange wall. The orange wall will glitch you into an area you can get out of, but it won't help you. You need to get into this bit, then you need to go around the wall of this room.
Okay.
And there is a wall that you can see, but you can walk through it. I think it's about here. There's just a black wall, but it's
there's no collision.
Really, no collision, and that killed me the first time. I was like, do I have to jump here? No, you go through it, Teal. And you end up about here-ish, and then you basically have to helipack jump down, and you'll land on... actually, it makes a lot of sense with what you were saying. I think it's the collision wall for the bit where the water's chasing you.
Yeah, look at the map real quick, because we can tell if we're right over that.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, yeah, that's where it is.
Yeah.
Down there.
That would explain it.
You have to... I can't really show it apart from with my mouse, but basically you end up around here-ish, I think. yeah, you end up around here, and like just above where the arrow is, and you're on top of a building, and you have to be on the corner of it. There's some antenna, and that's basically the giveaway. That one bit is solid. The rest you will fall through and end up in the other bit of the level. Then from there you can get onto the hoverboard track. I think it's roughly at the beginning. You cannot go backwards. You go backwards, it automatically starts the race. You go forwards on the track, the standard way, it doesn't, and you're fine. Don't know why. But that's how I did it, and that's how I left my console on for 20 hours with the circle button sellotaped down, with 18 games stacked on top, so it didn't move. Yeah.
That's an insane way of doing it. I mean, the downstairs one's a lot easier.
Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore, though.
The Hologuys one, that
was
I know.
Easy.
I know why that happens. It's like I was saying, when you go into the Hologuys, you go into a special hero state, and the hoverboard race is a different special hero state. So if you did it in such a way that the game put you into the hoverboard race 1 frame before you went into the Hologuys, then you would go into the hoverboard race and immediately switch hero states into the Hologuys, which meant you weren't hoverboarding.
Right, I see.
So, and then there's a volume, like a cube, usually, in front of the start of the hoverboard race. And what that does is as soon as you drop into that volume, it starts the race with all the other guys and everything. So, the way it's set up is there's physically in the world an invisible cube that you walk through, and that's why it starts. That's why it starts the race, because the way that the programmer who did this did it was, you talk to the lady, you switch to the hoverboard